So we will be in Matthew 7, verse 21. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. 22. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. All right. I've heard this many times, and each time I've heard it, it's been very confusing to me. I've been 100% confused whenever someone says it, tries to explain it, because what I've discovered is it needs to be in its proper context in order for us to really understand what Jesus is saying here. So we must go all the way back to verse 13. You see, there's two paths. There's the narrow path, and then there's the wide, broad path. The narrow path leads us to Jesus. It's a bumpy road. It's hard. It's challenging. You don't get to do all the things you want to do. You don't get to say all the things you want to say. God will ask you to do things that you don't want to do. God will ask you to go places you don't want to go. God will test you on every level. But then you've got that bright, shiny path. It's golden. It's got cheerleaders cheering you on. You say, oh boy, why would I go down that hard path when I've got this easy path that everybody seems to want to go down? And now on this path, this wide, golden path, you've got prophets in verse 15. So it's bad enough that there's two paths. And you've got one path that has a bumpy road, it's hard, and you've got this easy looking path that the world is trying to shift you down. But then you've got these prophets. And these prophets are standing in the middle of the road directing traffic. So we are standing there at the crossroads and you're saying, well, I could go down this hard path or I could go down this easy path. And now, even worse, you've got this prophet that's cheering you on down the wide path. They've got their pom-poms out. You know, I don't know if you ever had those people, those signs, those guys that had a big sign with the arrows. They stand in front of a business and they point you towards the arrow, towards the business with that big arrow. You ever seen it? That's what these guys are doing. So you're trying to figure out, right? You're like, that path looks kind of hard, but I'm going to walk down. And just as you're about to walk down it, you see this guy with the big arrow. And he's like, hey, come down this path. And you're like, well, look, that guy's a prophet, right? That guy's a prophet. So he must know what he's talking about. So since he knows what he's talking about, why not go down this easy path with this easy prophet? He don't ask much. He don't ask much, that prophet. He doesn't ask you to give up your lifestyle. He doesn't ask you to stop. As a matter of fact, he asks you to keep going so that you can make more money, so that you can give more money. We were talking about this in our Bible study, weren't we? You could buy your way into heaven. There's a famous classic rock song, one of my favorite songs called Stairway to Heaven. You ever heard it? It starts off with a woman asking a simple question. How can I what? Buy my way into heaven. That's what people want. They want to buy themselves into heaven. So, unfortunately, on the small road that leads through Jesus, you can't purchase it. You purchase it with what? Yourself, your pain, your suffering, your tears, your sleepless nights. You purchase it with sacrifice. Not doing that what you want to do. Not going where you want to go. Believing in Jesus Christ. But why do that when you've got prophets standing in the middle of the other road, directing you there, saying, come on over here? They dress up like they're prophets. But in fact, they're sheep that are dressed, but they're really wolves. They're sheep, but they're not sheep. They just look like sheep. They're just dressed up. But once you scratch the shiny veneer, you get to see that they're really wolves. And much like it says in verse 7 through verse 12. Nope, verse 6. Verse 6. Much like it says in verse 6. These people with their sharp teeth, once they devour all that you have, they then devour what? You. It's never enough. It's never enough. You give and you give, bless you, and it's never enough. Until they have taken you. How do you know them? You know them by their fruit. What do they have to show? But you see, verse 21 then says, look, some of these prophets, I want you to get this. Some of these prophets will have fruit that looks like good fruit. They will have fruit that looks like good fruit. What does it say? It says, many will say in that day, have I not what? Prophesied in your name. That sounds like good fruit. Have I not cast out demons in your name? That sounds like good fruit. And have I not done what? Many wonders in your name. Doesn't that sound like good fruit? Sounds like grapefruit. The problem with today's society is that we're always looking for entertainment. What's more entertaining than a miracle? You want to know what a miracle is? You want to know what a miracle is? See, we want miracles. We want miracles, money to fall from the sky. That's what we're looking for. So someone that can promise you that, you're going to follow that. But you don't want to know what a real miracle is? A real miracle is I'm very hungry and it's lunchtime. And I'm like, man, I'm hungry. I don't have any money. And then I reach in my jacket pocket and I pull out a $5 bill that I didn't know was in there. I can get a value menu with that. Man, I didn't know I had $5. Now I was hungry, but now what? I have enough. See, we want big miracles. So we call pastors that will promise you big miracles. We call people that will say, oh, look, I can do all this wonderful stuff. And they promise and they promise. And their day will come when they will actually be able to do it. It's coming soon. It's coming real soon. These prophets are becoming bold with what they're doing now. There's churches out there right now that are praying and holding seances to bring people from the dead back to life. It's not happened yet. But imagine what will happen when they do it just one time. Wonders and great things is what we're looking for because it's all about entertainment. What we're not looking for is sound doctrine. Give me a good miracle over the teachings of Jesus any day. So that's what God says, okay, give them what they want. You want a king? I've told you many times. Don't have a king. You've got God as a king. No, we don't want you as a king. We want a person. Look, you don't want a person. You want a God that's a king. You got a king. No, we want a person. All right, well, give them a person. And what did they get? They got a person. And immediately they started building monuments and statues and giving all their money to him. Be careful what you ask for from God. He'll give it to you. He'll give it to you. Oh, that's what you want, huh? I told you several times not to get it. But since you want it so bad, here it is. So you want, what does it say? Prophecy? Give it to him. Give it to him. You want demons to be cast out? You want to see some, what is that? What was that movie? Exorcist type stuff? Give it to him. You go on YouTube right now. You'll see all these pastors coming out there, and you'll see people shaking as they casting out demons and all of that. You'll see it looks so fake, except that people are sitting there believing it. You want it? Give it to them. Oh, you want wonders? You're not good enough to just sit in church and listen to. You want wonders? What? Give it to them. What did we say on Wednesday? The people that sit in the pews, they may not know the difference. But woe to the people that are doing it. What does he say? They will do all of this in God's name. But God will say what? I never knew you. So are they really doing it in God's name? They're pretending, and God is letting it through. Because at the end of the day, if that's what you want, if you want circus, you want entertainment, you want fun stuff, then God will just give you circus. You want the icing, you want the cake, you don't want the meat, God will give it to you. Here you go. But those people will say, I never knew you. Depart from me. Here's where you understand what I'm talking about. Because all of that doesn't make sense. Look, they're doing this stuff in God's name. It seems like they're okay. Why would he say depart from me? He says, you who practice what? Lawlessness. That is the key word there. Lawlessness. What is lawlessness? Lawlessness is rebellion, confusion. Lawlessness is rebellion and confusion. The one that they call the lawless one is Satan. The lawless one. The one that wanted what? Rebellion and what? Confusion. The lawless one. The one that refuses to follow what? The law. These people are doing these things not so that they can lead you to God, but so that they can confuse your faith into a lawlessness, because they make you believe that the way that you are living is okay, because they do not convict. I want you to really get this. For those of you that were here Wednesday, you heard a story, a sad tale. I'll tell it again, because this is what they're talking about here. There was a man. He was a pastor. Remember this? And the man had a wife and a family. And one day, God calls him, wakes him up in the middle of the night. In the middle of the night, God's talking to him. God says, go to the Bible. He opens the Bible. And he says, he finds one word. What is that word, Tommy? Love. And what does he do after that, Wanda? Close the book. Boom. He found it. And he looks in the mirror and he goes, I found love. And that love was for his wife's dress. So he puts it on. And he goes, now I have found self-love. But he realizes his church, they're not ready for the revelation of God. Not yet. Not yet, Joanna. So what does he do? For the next 3 or 4 months, he preaches. About what? About what? Say it with me. Love. Affirming. So now he stands there. All the people that are like, wait, this don't sound right. What do? They bounce out. They leave. They're like, man, this don't, man, I don't know. This dude, he's on something now. So they bounce out. So now he's got those core people that are all about love and affirming and self-affirming and looking themselves in the mirror and affirming who they are. So when that man finally shows up in a dress, everybody claps. They're not clapping for him. They're clapping for themselves because they realize a man in a dress can't convict me. That man in a dress can't convict me. Everything I do from that point on ain't as bad as that, so I'm okay. Thumbs up for me. I beat my wife, but I don't preach in a dress. I'm doing good. I smoke meth, but I don't beat my wife. I'm better than him. I'm doing good. It's all relative now. That man is only preaching love. Well, I love me. I love me so much I steal. To take care of what? Me. Because I what? Love me. So the pastor says, you're stealing. That's true. Well, give me some of that. Because the pastor loves who? Himself too. Everybody's full of love. It's a love fest now. You see? So that man divorces his wife. Now his husband sits right in the front pew now. That man gets to heaven. He goes, hey, God. And God's like, yeah, okay. I've been waiting for you. Here you come. He says, hey, I pastored a church for 30 years. God says, yes, you did. And he goes, I've done cast out demons in your name. Yes, you did. I married people. Yes, you did. I baptized. Yes, you did. I did all this in your name. Yes, you did. I'm going to heaven. No, you did it all in a dress, sir. You did it all in a dress. I don't know who you are. You're not one of mine. But why? I did it all in your name. Because he caused what? Lawlessness. Confusion. Him in a dress, no matter what he says or does, is causing confusion. Now my son believes he can be in a dress. How can I tell him not? How can I look my son in the eye and say, don't wear that dress when his pastor is wearing a dress? Now he's caused confusion throughout his whole pastorate. Now his whole church is confused. And now you come to me and you say, hey, pastor, didn't you say men can't wear dresses? I say, yes, it is. Well, this guy says he can. He's a pastor like you. He has the word of God like you. So now everybody's confused. How could I fight against that? I'm telling you to walk the hard road, do the work, sacrifice. I know you want to put on that dress, son, but you can't because God said no. But this guy over here, he's saying yes. So I'm going to just go right on over there then. Because that guy, he's making it hard. That guy is making it easy. Lawlessness, confusion. It doesn't matter what you do in the name of God as long as you're sowing confusion. You can do all the right stuff. But if you are sowing chaos, then God never knew you. I pray for you. Okay, thank you. I pray in God's name. Okay, thank you. But what are you praying? I'm praying that God bless me in this dress. Okay, well, that don't matter. Your prayers are meaningless then. Because what is the prayer? The prayer is not for a life-changing event. The prayer is that you bless me in my sin. Well, how does that work exactly? That's chaos. Everything they're doing is in God's name. Well, don't you know that demons and the unclean ones and even Satan himself knows Jesus? Face to face, by name? That don't mean much. You know who believes in Jesus more than all of us? Satan himself. He stood there, face to face, knows the man. We ain't never seen him. He's seen him. So everybody that says, oh, well, I'm a pastor. Oh, okay. Well, that doesn't mean much now in this time. It used to mean something. It used to mean that you had a principle. But now I turn on news and I see these people standing up there saying all types of nonsense. I have nothing. How do I combat that? Now, when I say I'm a pastor, people think I'm one of them. It's almost embarrassing now. Someone says, "Oh, you're a pastor?" Yeah. Oh, okay. We know about you. We know you mean you're one of those dress wearers. No, I don't wear a dress. Well, I saw on TV that all pastors wear dresses. What do you say to that? Confusion, lawlessness. That is what he says. You who practice lawlessness. That is the key to understanding. Who are you as a Christian? Who are you as a Christian is the real question. Are you living a life of what? Lawlessness. Doing whatever you want to do. Being free. Doing whatever you want to do. It's all fun and games. Whatever it is, somebody gets hurt as long as it's not me. Oh, I'm okay. Well, then that's what? Lawlessness. But I do it all in God's name. I steal, but I tithe. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for tithing. But at the end of the day, you're causing confusion. That's lawlessness. There's some people in my life right now. If they call my phone, I have to really think about answering. I look at the phone and go, oh, okay. Here comes confusion. Here comes chaos. Sometimes I look at my phone and I say, oh man, my day was going good before this moment. Why? Because they only sow lawlessness, confusion. The key to it all is the concept that good trees bear good fruit. Bad trees bear bad fruit. You have to really look at, because sometimes the fruit on the outside looks good. You ever seen that? The fruit on the outside looks good, and then you bite into it, you find out it's rotten. Rotten to the core. But it was rotting from the inside out. So it didn't quite get to what? The outside yet. So then how do you know? You judge the fruit by its adherence to God's law. You judge the fruit by its adherence to God's law. Because Jesus died for your sin, doesn't mean you have to pour more sin on them. Doesn't mean because we don't live by the 10 commandments, doesn't mean that we just get to throw those in a fire and do whatever. The 10 commandments don't need to be written on a piece of paper because they're written where? In our hearts. You know it's wrong, or at least you knew it's wrong the first couple of times. But after a while of doing it, it becomes okay. I'm sure that man, no matter what his God told him, the first couple of times he wore that dress, he didn't feel good. But the 100th time, this is who I am. Okay. Lawlessness. So you have to look at the keys of people's lives, the people that we interact with on a daily basis, the people in our families even. Sometimes people in our homes. You look at their fruit. You look at the things that they're doing, the lives that they're living, and you say, is that guy? Now, we all fall short now. But there's a difference between trying and falling short and living completely lawless. Because at that point, you have hardened your heart. And once the heart is hardened, it takes an ice pick and a hammer to get through that. God is not just love as you see here. God is one that will damn you to hell if you live outside of his law. That is also the God that we serve. That's why you say we have what? Fear and trembling. Why do we fear those who can harm the body when we should fear that which can damn the soul? It is with that understanding that we come to verse 22, 21, and 23. With an understanding and a prayer that God, please, let us not live a lawless life. Let us not live a lawless life, but to do the best we can to be within the law, so that when we see God face to face, we can say, God, we did all we could. And instead of saying, I never knew you, he said, I've known you from the time you were born, and we have walked together. And in that, welcome into your reward. My prayer for each and every one of you, is that we do not fall into the arms of those that would try to lead us down the path of milk and honey and all of the good joys of this world, but that we live a life that is pleasing unto God, such that in the end we may reap our reward. Amen. Amen.